Hari Om. We are today on the sixth mantra of section 2 of chapter 3. This is a very significant, important mantra, oft quoted by Pandits, speakers, and other erudite people in their discourses. It's a very important one. It's a very oft quoted mantra, and it appears in a couple of other Upanishads also. Mantra says, वेदांत विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्थ संन्यास योगात् यतया शुद्ध सत्वा ते ब्रह्मलोकेषु परान्तकाले परामृता परिमुच्यन्ति सर्वे. This is the chanting stanza. Now the brief meaning is, having without a doubt well ascertained the significance of knowledge of Vedanta, the seekers, with their minds purified by dint of renunciation, attain the worlds of Brahman, being one with the highest immortal Brahma. They are absolved all round. This is the rough meaning. Now we will get into the detailed meaning of this. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchidartha. Very simple language. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchidartha. Those who have come to ascertain clearly the deeper import of the knowledge of Vedanta, that is Upanishads. Through the practice of attaching our attention to the higher and thereby gaining an intelligent detachment from the lower, the seeker develops an inner purity called Chitta Shuddhi. Egocentric desires get dropped off. The mind is no more filled with filth and dirt, and therefore a mind is free for contemplation, and in contemplative mood greater will be the comprehension of the reality. In such a condition, the mind grows richer in its receptivity or alertness or comprehension or composure or serenity. All these are same. Now these Upanishads are appended to the Vedas. They are part of the Vedas in their last portion. Upanishads are in the last portion of all Vedas, and hence the contents of Upanishad literature has come to be known as Vedanta, the end of Vedas. Therefore, the Vedanta literature not only explains to us theoretically the knowledge of Atma, but also explains to us the various techniques by which the seeker can become a subjective knowledge of vivid experience and be one with the Brahman. The technique of merger, a seamless merger, is also indicated in the Upanishad. Not merely a book knowledge, but the technical knowledge also. It is both, therefore, a science and technology of life. Upanishads are therefore both a science and technology of life. The knower of Brahman is made to ultimately merge with Brahman. Ultimately, that is the aim. This is unique only in Vedanta and self-knowledge. This aspect of merging with the knowledge is only in Vedanta. A knower of any other subject do not and cannot, in fact, become the subject itself in any branch of knowledge, be it chemistry, maths, physics, medicine, engineering, etc., whatever, music, art. The knower of chemistry by any technique cannot become the chemistry itself at any point in time. But the knower of the self can become one with the self. That is precisely the true meaning of Vedanta studies. Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchidartha. This has been very clearly understood. Sunishchita Artha. Nishchita means determinantly, very firmly, this has been understood. Right? Now, next is Sannyasa Yogad. Through renunciation. Sannyasa Yogat. Who Yataya. Yataya means self-controlled. Shuddha Sattva, pure in mind. Sannyasa Yogat, Yataya Shuddha Sattva. When an individual has lived at least for some time in his life, respecting certain values and virtues of life called dharma, not 24 hours in a day, not 24/7, sometime during the day, during the year, during the month, he has lived a life of dharma, respected certain virtues and values of life, he gets the necessary entry permit to the gymnasium of spiritual practice. Now remember, this pass is not issued by somebody else. There is no authority to issue the pass. The pass has to be issued by yourself, for yourself, by yourself. Then again, once that pass is obtained, we have to gain higher worlds of greater perfection, greater control, greater dissipation, greater detachment, greater aversion to worldly pressures. All this has to be developed in the gymnasium. The aspirant should learn slowly the art of controlling his sense organs from their habits of madly reveling and gushing forth to the ceaseless backwaters of, let us say, sorrow-breeding sense objects. They should stop that. That temptation should be dropped off, should be sublimated, should never be suppressed. Intelligently you have to tell the mind the negative qualities of such indulgences. Not that say shut up and don't go. No, it should not be suppressed. Desires, when you suppress it like a spring, it will bounce with a double vigor. Desires are not to be suppressed, they are to be sublimated. When he thus slowly sublimates his desires, his mind of its own accord grows in its potencies to concentrate and to apply itself with greater vigor and efficiency. It will discover in itself a greater efficiency, a greater vigor, a greater exuberance. Even at that stage, he may still entertain some anxieties for the enjoyment of the fruits of his tapas, at least. I have done some good things in life. At least am I not entitled to enjoy the fruits of those good things? I am not talking of ugly things. I have done some charity, some dhanam, some tapas, some austerity I have done, some yagas I have done, some yajnas I have done. Should I not get a 1 hour appointment with Indra? Those tendencies may come. It is here that the sannyasa plays its role. A true sannyasa plays its role. And a true sannyasa is actually an internal revolution of the values of life entertained and lived, and a capacity to discard low and temporary desires as simply irrelevant. However rich monetarily it is, or physical pleasure, however rich it is. Therefore, external garb is not the determining criteria for a sannyasa. What is his veshabhusha? That is not important. Has he got that uniform inside? Sannyasa emphasizes the internal attitude of the mind rather than the external garb. You may be a grihastha, can still be a sannyasa. Look at great kings like Janaka, a pure grihastha, yet he is more than a sannyasi. So in order to detach the mind from the dirty gutters of material pleasures, the mind must be given another point of attention. Something else you have to show him. Let's say a goal or a lecture of finer happiness, greater happiness than what the gutter is. You show him, you convince him, he will come away from it. He is not under a contractual obligation to stay in the gutter for lifelong. He feels good there, he stays there. You show him something better, he will come away from there. And from there something better, he will go there. So the highest reality is the goal shown by the teacher saying, Tattvamasi, look, you are that. You are not one who is to be in the gutter. This is not your destiny, my dear boy. You look at, see the kingdom I am showing to you. Tattvamasi, you are that. Attuning the seeker's mind with that goal and heaving the mind from the worldly pleasures with a barter of pure permanent happiness and peace is called yoga. The process of bartering with something is called yoga. Yoga, yuj means to join. You join with something. This is called a detachment through an attachment. You detach something through the process of attaching with something. So you go yoga with that. Sannyasa, yoga. You join with that. So it is a detachment with attachment or through attachment. And this is called sannyasa yoga. Such a seeker, yataya, with purity of mind, shuddha sattva, what happens to him? Te, he, brahmalogeshu, in the region of Brahman or in the experience of Brahman, loga means experience. What happens? Parantagale, at the time of final end, Paramrite, the highest immortality, Parimuchandi Sarve, gets freed from all and reaches the prime immortality at the time of final end. Parantagale, Paramrdat, Parimuchandi Sarve. He gets himself freed. No shackles. Like all the shackles of Vasudeva was removed when the Lord was dominating on his head, dancing on his head in that basket. Where was the shackle? Where was the gate? Where were the sentries? Where were the securities? All broken. The clear way shown to him because he is carrying the Lord himself. Today we are not carrying the Lord in our head. We are carrying 100 other things, stock market, business, market fluctuation, foreign exchange fluctuation, foreign trade. These are the things we carry in our head, petty things. But he is carrying the Lord on his head. Naturally, all the shackles are broken. He is breaking the chain. So Parantakale, at the time of final end, Paramritet, to the highest immortality, Parimuchandi Sarve, gets freed. Now here Parantakale, the scholars are interpreting as in two interpretations, two ways. The Shruti says, Parantakale Parimuchanti Sarva. At the final end, he will gain immortality. Here, end can mean physical separation of the body from the subtle and causal body. So when at the time of end, when the prarabdhas have ended, that can be one meaning. When your prarabdhas have ended, you leave the body, you cast off the body, isn't it? Can be that end of the body, end of the Parantakali, at the final end. That can be the final end. Thereafter, no more births, no more deaths for you. Because you have nothing left. You are one with him. Can mean that. Or it can also mean the death of false vanities and delusive ego senses in you. Your body may be there with you, but you are free from all your stupid vanities, delusions, illusions, hallucinations, ignorance, all which is covering or what shall I say, engulfing your mind. All that is removed. That is also called Parantakale. Both interpretations suit the subject very well. You need not bother which is that or this. A big confusion there. You spend about 4 years on that discussing. No need. Go whichever way is convenient to you. Either you try to exhaust your vasanas or you try to leave your body by exhausting the vasanas. Whichever way. After exhausting the vasanas, the body sticks to you. Let it stick. It is a prarabdha. Why are you worried? And if before death you exhaust the vasanas, let the body come with you. You are not worried. After the final experience of the God vision, the seeker, in fact, at the point in time where seeker also becomes liberated from all bondages experienced by him, till then he is experiencing bondages, no doubt about it. The moment of his realization, till he realizes, he is still having an umbilical cord on his desires, maybe good desires. Because of his false identification with OET, he will still get. But thereafter, gets liberated from all Parimuchanti Sarve. From everything he gets liberated. Acquitted on all grounds. All charge sheets dismissed. All virtues and vices gone. He has no rights, he has no obligations. He has no duties, he has no responsibilities. That's a state of affairs, mentally. Thus, this stanza not only discusses the vision of life, but also exhaustively discusses the technique of self-realization as a way of life. And that's the reason why I told you in the beginning that this Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchidartha Sannyasa yoga yataya shuddha sattva te brahma lokeshu parantagale paramrdat parimuchanti sarve. A very, very important stanza, possible. It is desirable that you get it by heart, not for any demonstration or any show, but just whenever you are relaxed, whenever you sit at home freely, whenever you travel in a bus or a car or a train or a flight, just keep on at the background of your mind. Let this go on. Then let your activity go on, no problem. Let your material activities go on. But in the background, as a tamburu, shruti, let the shruti be played so that you will remember the significance of this mantra, the spirit behind this mantra, and that will give you a push and fillip to act rightly in a given situation. Let us see what we have in store in the seventh mantra tomorrow. Hari Om.